is James 2:24, and it says, not by faith alone. Matthew 16:27, for the Son of Man is to come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and then he will repay every man for what he has done. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 10, for we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ so that each one may receive good or evil according to what he has done in the body. Works play a role in our salvation. I could go on and on and on with scripture verses that directly contradict the doctrine of sola fide, of salvation by faith alone. We are not saved by faith alone, but by faith and works, all done by the grace of God. So sola fide fails the test of Scripture. And I want to leave you with one last thought. Ask anyone who believes in sola fide if loving God and loving your neighbor has anything to do with a person's salvation. If they say no, then they put themselves in a pretty ridiculous position of saying that you can break God's two greatest commandments, love God above all else, love your neighbor as yourself. You can break those two commandments and still be saved. Really? And if they say, yes, you have to love God and neighbor in order to be saved, then explain to them that it is not faith alone that saves us. It is faith and love that saves us. Or as Galatians 5:6 puts it, for in Christ Jesus neither circumcision nor uncircumcision is of any avail, but faith working through love is of avail. In other words, that's what saves us. Faith working through love saves us. Okay. That's all the time we have for this week, for this program. I want to let you know that if you want more of what I do, you can go to my website. It's BibleChristianSociety.com. BibleChristianSociety.com. Got any number of free talks there that you can download, MP3 downloads. You can listen to them right there on the screen, or you can download them to whatever device you have. Still have CDs that I offer. Yes, some people still have CD players in their cars. They still listen to CDs. The CDs are all free. And I've got these newsletters I've done, over 400 newsletters over the last 15 years or so on all sorts of topics regarding the Bible, the Catholic faith, apologetics, Protestant doctrines and dogmas and why they're wrong, my debates, discussions with Protestant ministers, evangelicals, and so forth. So check them out. BibleChristianSociety.com. BibleChristianSociety.com. This is John Martinoni. Again, I'm the founder and president of the Bible Christian Society. I've enjoyed being with you today. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
Tony Alford and Priscilla Larpenter have been the foundation of what is now Alford and Associates. Their passion and vision have been embedded company-wide. It's not just about insurance. It's about making sure that our community is strong and protected for the next generation.
We analyze and then custom design your insurance policies to fit your business's needs, not the insurance carriers.
It's quite simple. It's the mindset of our organization to protect you from life's hardships.
Your benefits are our business.
Hi, my name is Pastor Troy James. I live in Terrebonne Parish and I am fully vaccinated. How about you? I had a lot of underlying conditions, and for my family and my friends. I did not want to go around them being unvaccinated, so I made it a precedent to be the leader in my family to get vaccinated.
Think premium can't be capable? Think again. Introducing the first ever AT4 lineup. Premium and capable.
That's professional grade from GMC.
Get over $2,000 purchase cash on 2021 Sierra Light Duty Crew Cab models. Plus, current eligible GMC owners get an additional $250 purchase allowance.
See your local GMC dealer.
Everyone needs help at some point during their life. The anxiety and sadness that you may be feeling right now can be conquered with the help of experienced counselors. The South Central Louisiana Human Services Authority call line is standing by right now, ready to assist you. Pick up the phone and call 1-877-500-9997 and let us help you through the crisis in your life. Helping people, changing lives. Let our caring staff help you today.
Pelican Waste and Debris is your local company. We don't just work here, we live here and understand the unique challenges that face our region. Our commitment to our community and customers and love for Louisiana keeps us motivated. Pelican meets every residential and commercial service need, offering roll-off, front-load, and compactor services, ideal for hotels, restaurants, apartments, construction or industrial sites, and much more. We also make recycling simple and cost-efficient, offering single-stream recycling program options. We have set the highest standards for environmental protection, community engagement, and guaranteed client satisfaction. Visit pelicanwaste.net or call us at 985-873-9553 to save money with hassle-free service. Our team has over 100 years of experience, so we know how to make you happy. The sky is the limit, so fly with the Pelican.
All right, welcome back. We have the Speaker Pro Temp, Mr. Tanner McGee, State Rep, on the desk today. And Tanner, you were greeted by a group from St. Matthews today.
Yeah, that's a great surprise to have some young people in the audience.
Yeah, no doubt. But let's get a shot of our group. Now we have 6 out here watching with Miss Maru, 3 more in the control room. Y'all wave to the camera right here. Y'all wave right here. There we go. So they wanted to see the Speaker Pro Temp and the parish president. And who wants to be on TV one day? Raise your hand. Well, guess what? Y'all are on right now. How about that? Pretty cool, huh? All right. Well, welcome aboard. A lot has changed since we last met. Can you give us an update on FEMA? Where do we stand there? It still seems a little slow, like Mr. Waite said. Cat and mouse type of game. Is that your perception at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely difficult. It definitely hasn't moved as fast as I know you and I would like it to move. But they do have a presence on the ground. They have been around, but we still haven't got the trailers from the FEMA side of the program like we would like. I mean, I think that's definitely true.
Now, what's the FEMA? Let's just re-educate people again. FEMA sort of transferred it to GOSEP. FEMA's in charge of paying the final bill, but they seem to blame each other.
Right. So there's technically 2 programs, Martin. You have the FEMA's own program, the Direct Trailer Program, which is still available. I don't know that we'll ever see a trailer under that program, but it still is technically in existence. People have applied. They've gone through the room. They may, or 1 or 2 have maybe leaked out that way. But the main way of getting a trailer is through the state's GOSEP program, which is idashelteringforla.com. I'm going to say it one more time just to make sure it's out in the public. idashelteringforla.com, where we can sign up through GOSEP. FEMA's paying for that program, but the state is running it and managing getting it out. It has put trailers out there. I think if you pass by the Civic Center, those are the trailers that you are seeing. That's not FEMA. That's a state program out there. Yeah. We hired a company called Aptum to actually manage getting these trailers out to everybody. Aptum has been sort of blaming, really saying they can't get in touch with people. People are applying online. We are trying our best to troubleshoot all those issues. I'm having the exact opposite response. People are calling me saying they haven't heard from Aptum and their numbers are being available for them.
Depends on who you talk to.
Depends on who you talk to. And so at that point, my office has been trying to intervene as best as possible to find out what is going on and what can we do to try and resolve that issue. I would like to see a more active approach from Aptum and the state as far as being here out in the communities. If you're having problems reaching people, the easiest way, and look, everybody in the bayou knows, you just go down the bayou. Right. I mean, it is amazing. The bayou is like its own telephone service. Like it just.
We were there this morning with the cameras. They're there. All you have to do is Mr. Waits, the DA, said, FEMA, come to me, I'll bring you to the people.
Exactly. No, and look, if you show up at Ward 7 or you show up at the Montague Lions Club or the Dulac Gym, the Dularge Gym, they're going to put you in touch with the people that need these services. And that's to me is a disconnect. And I think given all the communication challenges we've had, phone, internet, everything else, the best way in this scenario is to be on the ground, driving around, making yourself available.
Yeah. What have we learned from this for future IDAs? There's going to be one somewhere down. It may not be us. Maybe these young students here today that go through what we're going through, but we should have learned a bunch from this, shouldn't we?
Yes, absolutely. And I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and we are going to have a state trailer program separate and apart from FEMA on the ready going forward, where the state has a warehouse full of trailers, not maybe enough for everybody after storm, but enough to get that initial wave taken care of the really needy and desperate. 500, whatever that number is, 500 to 1,000 trailers on the ready every year. So we're not reinventing the wheel, trying to find trailers, trying to do this right. They're in a warehouse and they're ready to go. And that has to be a statewide appropriation out the gate.
And shouldn't the messaging be consistent? Because some people talk to FEMA, they get a different message in GOSEF. Nobody knows whether or not to put their own electrical pole up or whether they're supposed to let FEMA do that or do it themselves. The messaging needs to be consistent.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the biggest struggles you have. And then you also got to bring Entergy. Look, I'm getting a lot of complaints from people about Entergy right now. And I call Entergy and I talk to all their people. I talked to the vice president, the number 2 guy at Entergy, and he said, look, we've had people in Terrebonne Parish waiting for these trailers to hook them up, but the big but was we got tired of waiting on the trailers to come, and at some point I have to let my guys go. I can't keep them. We're heading into holiday season, so we have downsized. And so you're going to see a less amount of presence of Entergy because we waited too long trying to keep our people there. But call me, and as a need basis, we'll work with y'all, but we just can't keep that kind of staffing from this far out. So there's a whole lot of issues that are popping up as a result of the state delays that we're trying to fix now. And like you said, we need to have these things done on the front end.
Yeah, you would think with all the catastrophes we've had, not just here, like you've said before, forest fires, earthquakes, that we'd have this down to science.
You would think that this would be roll out step 1, step 2, step 3. It's not like that. You know, they like to say, well, every situation is different. And look, I get that, you know, everything will require adjustments, but you have to have a rock solid plan going into place, and we just have not had that.
I remember what Mr. Waits called it, a shell game.
And look,
not a bad terminology.
It's not, and look, I'm against government waste as everybody, but in an emergency situation, you have to help people first, worry about the counting on the back end. What we have right now is worry about the counting on the front end, help put people on the back end, and that is not a system. That creates the shell game that Mr. Waits is referring to, and I think that causes a lot of our problems.
All right, stick around. I want to talk about Mitch Landrieu and that big announcement coming up. We'll be right back with the Speaker Pro Temp in front of the St. Matthews students. It's all next.
The all-new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander at Barker Mitsubishi. Drive one today for $239 a month, plus an industry-leading 10-year warranty. The all-new Outlander at Barker Mitsubishi. Get thunderstruck.
Domestic violence is daunting, and the psychological effects can do enduring damage. Obviously, all abuse needs to end. But how? The Terrebonne Parish District Attorney's Office is dedicated to ending domestic violence and helping those who have already experienced it. Our office supports many programs that educate and adjudicate abuse towards women. If you are a victim of abuse, call the Terrebonne Parish District Attorney's Office at 873-6500.
Was your business interrupted by Hurricane Ida? You may be entitled to compensation. Insurance companies may try to pay you much less than your losses, or even deny your claim altogether. St. Martin & Bork and Hoffa's Duval are partnering together to fight for your fair payout. Go to myidaclaim.com for your free case review today. Never give up because your insurance company has denied your claim, and never accept a lowball offer. Let St. Martin & Bork and Hoffa's Duval help you weather the storm. Visit myidaclaim.com today.
Here's to the straggly ones. The first ones. Hey, I look good with this ones. The black, brown, red, and gray ones. The itchy ones. The ones grown by Dad. The ones grown for Dad. The I nearly didn't do it this year ones. And the absolutely filthy ones. They all raise awareness, raise funds, start conversations, and save lives. Because whatever you grow will save a bro. Learn more at Movember.com.
All right, we are back with State Representative Tanner McGee, Speaker Pro Temp. We're talking about a lot of different things, and I know y'all see those heads down there. That's St. Matthews, and that's some of their very talented students. So what we're going to do, before I move on with the state rep, let's go to Ashton first, and we're going to get them all to introduce themselves and tell us what grade they're in. Ashton?
Hello, my name is Ashton Woodfork, and I'm in 3rd grade.
My name is William Wayne, and I'm in 2nd grade.
Hello, my name is Sarah Joseph, and I am in 2nd grade.
My name is Sydney Sidden, and I am in 4th grade.
My name is Molly Diebold, and I'm in 4th grade.
My name is Rav Bhatt, and I'm in 7th grade.
Wow, y'all are so confident. I'm so proud of y'all. Miss Maroon all do a great job. Miss Kelly, the whole gang. Give yourselves a hand for that. Y'all did great. Now I'm going to turn back to the Speaker Pro Temp, okay? So we heard news that Mitch Landrieu's back in the news, and give me your thoughts on that. Good for Louisiana or what?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have somebody in Louisiana who's in charge of a recovery program, it's going to be good for Louisiana. I think former Lieutenant Governor Mitch Landrieu has a reputation of maybe being difficult at times in state politics, but like I told you before when we were talking in the break, I'd much rather have somebody difficult that's from Louisiana than somebody who's easy to get along with from Montana. He clearly knows the needs of the state, or at least we have a closer connection to relate our needs of the state to him. And if we're giving out this money, we might as well get as much of it as we can down here. So I think it's definitely a positive thing for the state from that aspect.
And I would think with his relationship with Cedric Richmond and all the way up the chain, really. I'm sure he knows the president pretty well.
I mean, that's one of the things. It's one of those like 6 degrees of separation. We're even that much closer to the top to get all this money as they divvy it out. I mean, there's a lot of things that Louisiana is uniquely suited to under the infrastructure plan to receive. I mean, I think you're going to see some Morganza to the Gulf funding authorizations that we've been needing that are the only thing that really qualifies for some of the money. I think it's like $500 million if I remember off the top of my head. So I mean, I think it's going to be good. And then as things go on, I think there's $6 billion already allocated to Louisiana for infrastructure, but I think there's opportunities for applications on the grant process side. And I think that's really where Mitch can really kind of step in and help us out and figure out, what's the best way to do it. Look, I'll tell your audience and you, for example, when we did the LA1 funding piece, I was the main author on that, and we were looking towards getting an infra grant from the Trump administration. How do we do it? It literally took knowing the head of the Department of Transportation to say, this is how you have to write it in the bill. And if y'all write it exactly like this and use these 5 words, I can guarantee you that you're going to get the infra grant. Now, you know, if you don't have that sort of connection, you don't know to use those words. And through the process, people kept trying to change my language. I had house staff like, these words are not good, blah, blah. I was like, you cannot touch those words. That's what gets us the money, right? And so I think that's kind of what the things having former Lieutenant Governor Landrieu in that position, I think, is the kind of thing that helps.
So how do we change the perception that, okay, here we go, another bunch of money coming down the pipe to very familiar names, good or bad, but how do we change that perception? What would you like to see? How should it be dispersed?
Look, I always think when you're dealing with money like this, it's better to get the money as local as possible as you can. I think people on the ground know what they need more than people far away. You know, we know our parish, right? Now that's within reason. You got to make sure qualify some guidelines and make sure that, you know, you're not giving it to maybe some shadier parishes in the state that maybe don't have quite the reputation. But I think, you know, few strings attached, but really good strings, and make sure that the money's being used in an appropriate way. I think once you do that, you give it to the locals, you let them fund their own needs.
You would think that Mitch Landrieu, he's no stranger to controversy, like you said. He don't mind getting in the middle and mixing it up. It's almost part of his, you know, his personality. Can he be a guy to help with FEMA and different things? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, look, for his warts, and he was always sort of difficult to deal with when he came to Baton Rouge as mayor of New Orleans. I mean, he was not one of those ones that I would put in the category of played well nice with others all the time. But for his warts, he was definitely somebody who wasn't afraid to stand up to people, and he wasn't afraid to get a message out, and he wasn't afraid to say things that upset people. And I think that's kind of what you need when you're dealing with agencies like FEMA.
Yeah. Well, where do you see, can this be a chance for the president to get something solid in Louisiana? Hey, I mean, his poll numbers are way down, but at least in Louisiana, come and help us do some good things? Yeah,
I mean, I think these are one of those things that's always an opportunity. With crisis always comes opportunity, and how we look and how we build back is going to define them. I mean, I think we won't know what the full story is until we're a couple years out and we see what it all turned out to be. Did we get the money for our levees? Did we get the money for our roads? Did we get the money for our bridges? Look, Louisiana is a D- rating on bridges. We're one of the worst states on bridges, and we also have the most bridges. So it's not like it's a part of the problem we have in Louisiana is we have so many waters to cross. That's hard to maintain all these bridges. But I think, you know, when you look at Lake Charles, they have a really bad bridge. If anybody's driven to Houston recently, you're like taking your life, and I think it's like a 6 rating out of like 100 scale. It should probably be closed, but it's not. Things like that, if we fix those things with the money, I think people will look back on it well. And if we just waste the money and we don't fix these bridges, we don't make these changes, I think that's where people will look back on it and say.
If you go to Lafayette, you better have good shocks.
Right.
Because that road to Lafayette, you bounce it up and down. Let's do this. Let's take a next break, and let's talk about the state. Let's talk about some of the budgetary things we need to do and what y'all are driving on. I know we're in better shape than we were in years past. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with Tanner McGee and St. Matthews right after the break.
Broussard Dove handles business and residential hurricane claims. We have over 14 years experience dealing with insurance claims for hurricanes with proven results. We handled hurricane claims before Hurricane Ida and will be here for years to come after. We've recovered millions for business owners and homeowners. So if you need help with your hurricane claim, let us fight for you. Go to our website and fill out a form for a free claim review or give us a call. Broussard Dove, attorneys at law.
Think premium can't be capable? Think again. Introducing the first ever AT4 lineup. Premium and capable. That's professional grade from GMC.
Get over $2,000 purchase cash on 2021 Sierra Light Duty Crew Cab models. Plus, current eligible GMC owners get an additional $250 purchase allowance.
See your local GMC dealer.
Here at South Louisiana Bank, we support our neighbors, the organizers, the helpers, the leaders, the dreamers. We support those that move our community forward. Louisiana has grown from the dedication, commitment, and loyalty of the people who call this beautiful place home. We are proud to offer our services to the communities in South Louisiana. South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together.
Cardiovascular Institute of the South's Ambulatory Surgery Center offers patients advanced and innovative outpatient procedures using the latest technology and treatment options. The first of its kind in the region, this center provides our patients and their families with high-quality care in a convenient, comfortable, and safe environment at a lower cost. Trust your care to the cardiovascular care team you know and love at CIS. Learn more at cardio.com.
Bacteria and germs run rampant in the air that surrounds us. It's more important than ever to keep our surroundings clean. Introducing BioPure. Specializing in commercial and residential disinfection applications, BioPure's advanced treatment process allows them to disinfect more surfaces quickly and effectively, with no inconvenience to staff or family members. Let BioPure help you create a better environment for everyone. Call for your free consultation today at 985-322-3003.
Offering historic values for good quality vehicles.
As many of you know, we are facing unprecedented times. As an industry leader in South Louisiana, Trav Cadillac Chevrolet is not able to meet all inventory needs by our current market.
We need more inventory, and that's good news for you. Come see our friendly staff at Trav Cadillac Chevrolet.
All right, we're back with State Rep Tanner McGee. He is the Speaker Pro Temp, and we have the St. Matthews group in the house. We're going to swap them out with some in the control room in a second. Miss Maru Soudier is with him. And Maru, you got a great group here. They're really well behaved.
Thank you. Yes, they're kind of a cross-representation of the students at St. Matthews. This particular group and the others that you'll see momentarily are students who have qualified for what we call the Advanced and Gifted program at St. Matthews. And they've got a lot of different projects that they've done over the last 2 years. We started the Gifted program 2 years ago. And then we also have, they publish a school newspaper called Dolphin Tales. They'll do interviews and that type of thing. And now they want to go into actual broadcasting of sorts. So that's why we're here today.
Well, good. Maybe they could take my place during storm coverage. And one of y'all could learn how to use the stick. Y'all can make that happen. Maru, I know you have a question for our state rep.
I did. Mr. McGee, I wanted to ask you, our students are very interested in coastal restoration. As a matter of fact, a couple of our students actually live down near Pointe-a-Shan, and we know that land loss has been a real concern. And as time goes on, some of them are saying, well, wait, will the coast now be at my house one day?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I think, one of the things that's in the Biden infrastructure plan, as I understand it, is they have additional amount of money. And I want to say off the top of my head, like $500 million. And that money set aside for coastal restoration projects. It doesn't say it's earmarked for Louisiana because for political reasons, they didn't do it. But I think the only state that qualifies under the guidelines is going to be Louisiana. So we are slated to get that money, which would be a huge step as we move forward. The state has a master plan that it's constantly engaging in and constantly funding. And we've done a good job partnering with state and locals to make the master plan work for Louisiana. It's had progress, but it hasn't been enough and the only thing that's been holding it up is money. And the more money we throw at it, the more that it's going to be. And I think that the total price tag on the state's annual plan is $50 billion. So that's ultimately what we believe the state believes we need to save our land. But it's not $50 billion in 1 year. So it's $50 billion that we are working constantly to fund and do projects. And so we are seeing that the Morganza to the Gulf is something that is going to be a reality in our lifetime, I believe.
And that's a great question from Maru. I expected nothing less. Maru, what's your exact title again?
I'm actually the director of Learning Lab at St. Matthews. It provides resources to students and extra opportunities. So.
All right, I wanted the audience to hear. Maru does so much for the community, always has. Tell us about the state budget moving forward. I know you're a little more optimistic this year than in years past. Seems to be a better time.
It's a much better time. This is probably the first time in a long time that the state is on solid footing. I mean, you have to go back to probably the first year of Jindal or the last year of Blanco that we were really running surpluses. And a lot of that's recovery related and everything else. But I think what we're trying to do is make sure we don't blow it like we did last time. I think a lot of the legislators themselves are very cognizant of the fact that we had an opportunity after Katrina and we really didn't use it to our full advantage. And so I think you're going to see a lot of careful consideration about how we don't go spend a bunch of money that ties us down and we have to cut things later. So I think that's really what you're going to see as we go forward.
For our St. Matthews crew here today, a lot of young, aspiring, very smart young men and women up here. They're going to be running the parish and the state in a few years. We're going to be in the walkers and the scooters and everything else. What kind of advice would you give them? I mean, you took a chance and ran for reasons you wanted to change things. What kind of advice would you have for them?
The most important thing is to be engaged. I mean, I think a lot of times it feels like government's far away from you, but it's really not. I think people are shocked if they come to Baton Rouge, and I would love for y'all to come to Baton Rouge and to the Capitol. I always find that Terrebonne is underrepresented as far as school tours. Lafayette comes a lot of other places come far to Baton Rouge to see the Capitol, and I find that Terrebonne, for some reason, the schools here don't really come as much. I'd like to see y'all come more, because one of the things you learn is that you can come to the Capitol, they'll let you ride in, and you can pretty much talk to anybody from the governor down. I mean, it's a small state. At the end of the day, it may seem like a big state, but we're all a lot closer than we look. And so having that engagement with people, I think, is what really makes a difference, telling you their concerns. And I find that people in government are actually much more, at least the elected officials, are much more concerned with what the people think more than people realize. And I think that they have to experience it, and they have to be there. I think that there's a disconnect. People think they're not responsive because they're not there, and they're not developing that contact, and I think they feel left out.
So that's some good advice. Good. How many of y'all may want to run for office one day? All right.
That's 2, 3. All right.
3. All right. Good day. So you got to get involved. All right. So we're going to be going to break. I want to pass that microphone to Miss Sarah Joseph in the 2nd grade. So, Sarah, I want you, because you came in here, you were so bold when you came in the studio. So first of all, I want you to do this. Look. Take a deep breath. Okay, got it? Now, I want you to look at that camera up there, and I want to let them, there you go, you're going to look right up here at this camera, and I want you to say, we're going to be right back after a short commercial break.
We're going to be right back after a short commercial break.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Tanner. We appreciate you.
No, thank you for having me. I think she's ready for your job.
She's ready. Come on, let's go. All right, we'll be right back.
Sharing a little holiday joy starts with arriving in good spirits. The energizing Mazda CX-5, beautifully designed signature interior, and the refined performance of available iActive all-wheel drive. Find yours during the season of inspiration.
And right now, get 0.9% for 36 months on a new Mazda CX-5 or Mazda CX-9 at Parker Mazda in Homa, or shop us online at parkermazda.com.
If you are suffering from chronic cough, bronchitis, reactive airway, or persistent asthma that's difficult to control, or diagnosed with COPD, please listen carefully. You may be suffering from allergy sinus, bronchial asthma syndrome. For as we now know that undetected or uncontrolled infection in the upper airway can affect the lower respiratory tract. If this is happening to you, please call us for an evaluation.
Renee is not an influencer. She's more of a groundbreaker. Just look at the way she's reshaping and reimagining her 4-acre slice of heaven. It's not hard to tell she's the real deal. Renee runs with us on a John Deere 1 Series tractor because out here, you can't fake a job well done. Nothing runs like a Deere.
Are you looking for a new or used vehicle? Well, come check us out at Barker Honda because we get new, updated inventory daily.
We're offering top dollar for your trade.
Give us the opportunity to buy your car.
We offer new and used financing.
Come check out our award-winning trucks.
For cars, trucks, SUVs, come check us out.
Our sales specialists can help find the vehicle just for you.
We're getting new inventory daily.
Come down and see us on Martin Luther King Boulevard in Houma, and always remember,
it's better at Barker.
This is Martin False live in Houma. We're in front of Hebert's Motel where water is up to the doorknobs at the motel.
Telephone poles almost completely to the ground. This storm had some fury to it.
The following morning, Hurricane Andrew had taken its toll on Terrebonne Parish.
But the stick doesn't lie.
No.
That, you know, they said it started moving north-northwest. That was a jog.
It's a very tense day for Terrebonne Parish. Levee after levee has been breached. You won't know until it equalizes how many of them have actually broken. And I'm just looking at that stick shot again. That center circulation has moved back on the stick, and Lafourche and Grand Isle to me are ground zero at this point.
It's moving right up the stick, and that stick goes directly over Grand Isle and Fouchon. Everybody, welcome into Going Public. I'm Harry McCullough. Today we are joined by David Rabelais. He's the Executive Director of the Terrebonne Port Commission. Hey, Dave, thanks so much for being with us. Hey, you know, it's 2 months now. It's down the road, Hurricane Ida, but we're all still recovering. We're all in different degrees of recovery here. So where are we at with the port post-hurricane?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. I'm going to start by going back to before the hurricane, and we're going to catch up to where we are today. So we staged NOAA in the port. They had two vessels and the equipment with side scan sonar. And immediately after the storm cleared up, they went out and they started doing the side scan sonar in the Houma Nav to check for obstructions. They found some. They found 30 of them. And you know, you can't open a channel until all of that's cleared. So they identified 30 of them. We got with the Corps. They came in with a spread on a barge and a crane and a tugboat, and they started removing them. And within 3.5 weeks to 4 weeks, it was all done. We had all the obstructions removed, and the captain of the port, Captain Russell, with the Coast Guard, he was able to open the channel.
Yeah, and they did a great job, and I know you had prepared for that beforehand and almost had those guys on standby to get them going. You're talking about 30 obstructions. That could be anything from a boat to a crab trap, but is that something they have to do all year long? How does that work?
Well, you know, after a storm they do it, and then if anybody reports something, then they'll go out and check it and see what it is, but normally it's just after a storm. You know, to find these obstructions.
Right, because they don't have to shut down the HNC every time they find.
And we don't want to confuse that with the hydrograph survey that surveys the bottom to see how much silt we have, and it's totally different than the side scan sonar. So, so once they finished with the side scan sonar, the captain of the port was able to open it, and then we then we got the hydro survey, so we knew how much material we had, and then we still waiting on the dredge, but it's right around the corner, so we'll get to that in a little bit.
I got you. So the storm impact, the Bayou du Large and the Houma Nav swing bridge, how did they survive the storm, and are they ready to go?
Well, they both rode it out flawlessly. Everything was great until a day and a half later, and they had about a 1-inch rain, and the bridge houses that house all of the electronic equipment that operate the bridges had roof damage, and the roofs leaked when we got that rain, and it messed up the electronics in both the bridges. So we had to go for 3 or 4 days with limping on these bridges. Some days it wasn't opening at all. Some days it were opening once. And it was a lot of boats needed to get out, and a lot of traffic needed to pass. Like we talked about before, we had all the linemen, we had all the the rescues, and everybody was on the road. Everybody coming back in to look at their houses. They had a lot of people it was like not joyriding, but just sightseeing. Let's call it. And so it was a lot of traffic, and then we had the DOTD had to deal with it, and they did it, and I commend them for it. So
yeah, they did a great job at getting that back. I mean, like I say, when you lose all electronics like that, that's not something you can just run down to.
That's correct.
And
Walmart, nothing was open anyway.
I was about to say, it wasn't like anything was open.
Yeah.
But they did a good job of fixing that and getting that up for both boat and for vehicle traffic.
That's right. It's critical. It's critical. I mean, you can have emergencies. On land, and you got to get across the bridge, and with the bridges in those situations, it was touch and go, So
well, we saw that down in Lafitte. I think this is the second storm in a row that they've had a barge hit their bridge,
right?
And then they had people actually cut off that had to ferry across, and so when you're talking about ambulances or in this case linemen, those kind of things, it can really they like I say, they did a wonderful job to get that back up and running.
And also the other problem we had with the Houma Nav was the floodgates.
Right.
The floodgates took a 150 mile an hour north wind for 4 or 5 hours, and they weren't designed for that. They were designed to catch stuff from the south, water and everything else, and they actually damaged them. They had to remove the Bubba Dove, and I think one other one, and bring it to a shipyard, get it repaired, and bring it back. It broke the hinges on the Bubba Dove. What happened was the north wind piled up the water on the inside against the Bubba Dove. The Bubba Dove's 25 feet high, okay? Right. So it took all the water out of the lakes and bayous and just piled it all up against that floodgate, and the floodgate finally couldn't take it anymore, and the differential, which the height of the water on the inside versus the height of the water on the outside, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like bad. It was like 9 feet plus 9 on the inside, and it was like a -3 on the outside. Okay, right. So it was crazy. And when it finally broke, all that water rushed out at one time and dug a 50-foot hole in the Houma Nav right south of the floodgate. So if you're looking for deep water, right there south of the floodgate, they had to come back in and put rocks and stuff in it because it was a deep hole, and they didn't want it to undermine the structure itself. So, but that's what went on, and a lot of people didn't realize that, and it was like we didn't know if another storm was coming. In the past, we've had one and another one knocking at the door a week later, and we had all these gates taken off. It was crazy, but like I said, Levee District took the bull by the horns. They did what they had to do, and they got them back in working order.
Well, we're in November now, so hopefully, and we've had storms in November, but hopefully we don't have to deal with that. So what's the present status right now of the H&C, the Houma Navigation?
So now the bridges are both operating at 100%. The present status of the H&C, as of September 25th, 2021, MSIB 35-21, the captain of the port set port condition normal with restrictions placed on the intercoastal and Bayou Lafourche only. The Houma Navigation Canal is open, 24/7 operation. The Houma Navigation Canal bridge schedules can be found on the DOT website for the bridges. So the captain of the port on September 25th opened the Houma Nav and deemed the conditions normal. Now we did get another, and so like I said, there was restrictions on the ICWW and on Bayou Lafourche, and those restrictions, they come on and they go off. They come on depending on where they're working and what they're doing. I just received one today that I want to read to while we're on the air, and this is temporary Bayou Lafourche waterway closure. Mariners are advised that on Thursday, November 4th, which is tomorrow, next day after tomorrow, and Friday, November 5th, Bayou Lafourche will be closed from Haviland Canal to approximately 1,000 yards north of Port Fourchon's flotation canal. The closures to facilitate some safe salvage operations. They're gonna have divers in the water, so they're asking mariners to be advised that they will close the waterway temporarily on those 2 days.
Haviland Canal, are you familiar with
That's
this? Is that north of Leeville, below Leeville? Where is that at?
It comes out below Leeville.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So this is not that far of it.
No,
of
right.
a closure.
Right.
But yeah, man, that place, they really got whacked by the storm.
Oh, it's bad, man. I mean,
Sure,
they
that's
like I
a
said,
degree.
they had 170 mile an hour sustained winds in Fourchon. We had maybe 140 here.
Right.
And they had those gusts up to 225 miles an hour that they actually measured one. So it was it's pretty bad.
Yeah, so maintenance dredging and that kind of stuff from the impacts of Hurricane Ida, is that something they need to start doing?
Yeah, so what we did was, the Corps received $12.3 million last month for maintenance dredging required due to Hurricane Ida. The contract for the bay dredging was awarded to Weeks Marine last July. And based on a preliminary post-Ida surveys, we have almost 500,000 cubic yards of material that we're going to have to remove out of the bay. The Corps is negotiating with Weeks to add that additional material to the existing contract that they have now. So they demobed. They started in July, the hurricane, and they demobed. They're still not back on the job yet. The dredge that was on the job got commandeered by the Corps because they had some issues in the intercoastal. So that one, we lost that dredge. So now they're coming back with a bigger dredge, which is even better because now they'll be able to do the bay and Cat Island Pass, which I'm going to explain in a second. So they're going to add that, let's say around 500,000 cubic yards to the existing contract that they already had in place. All right, it's a 30-inch dredge. It's called the Elfson. Elfson. I don't know how to spell it. Anyway,
yeah.
And the dredge is scheduled to arrive between November 7th and the 13th. So right around the corner, and they expect it to be complete in the bay by mid-January. All right. The balance of the 12.3 will be used to fund Cat Island Pass dredging. The Corps intends to amend a bid specification that's already been advertised. So there's a bid on the streets right now, and they just have to amend it to focus it strictly on Cat Island Pass. And so they're talking about getting having a bid opening within 45 days. Okay, so that they got to give them time to put the prices together. So they bid opening in 45 days, and they potentially could award it within another 30. And if it's Weeks, they'll just continue to go straight on out and get in the Cat Island Pass and finish the whole thing. If it's not Weeks that wins that, which I would be surprised if it's not. But if it is not, then we could get them both done simultaneously.
Right.
We don't know, but that's the game plan.
And that would be great, and that could also reduce some costs, right?
Well,
mobilization and stuff.
No, it won't. I mean, they're going to pay mobilization to this new contract. Right. Whether it's Weeks or a new contractor. Weeks will probably charge less on the mobilization because they're already there. A new company coming in, a contractor, they're going to charge a lot. So that's why Weeks has the advantage.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. So, yeah, that'll be a good deal. And if we can get them both at one time, that would be awesome. All right, David, we'll take a break. We'll be back with more Going Public right after this.
A new company with a lot of history. GIS Engineering has rapidly grown its brand around an experienced team of professionals. GIS Engineering is a full-service planning, engineering, procurement, and construction management company specializing in coastal protection and restoration, upstream and downstream industrial, and transportation infrastructure projects. Putting people first, GIS Engineering, a new company with a lot of history.
Offering historic values for good quality vehicles. As many of you know, we are facing unprecedented times. As an industry leader in South Louisiana, Trav Cadillac Chevrolet is not able to meet all inventory needs by our current market.
We need more inventory. That's good news for you. Come see our friendly staff at Trap Cadillac Chevrolet.
Cardiovascular Institute of the South's Ambulatory Surgery Center offers patients advanced and innovative outpatient procedures using the latest technology and treatment options. The first of its kind in the region, this center provides our patients and their families with high-quality care in a convenient, comfortable, and safe environment at a lower cost. Trust your care to the cardiovascular care team you know and love at CIS. Learn more at cardio.com.
Led by a 7-member commission, the Terrebonne Port was created to assist our local industry in promoting economic development. We monitor government regulations that affect our local industry and work with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to secure maintenance dredging funds. Because the HNC is the main artery for the heartbeat of Terrebonne's economy, Terrebonne Port fights a constant battle for funding to maintain the federally authorized navigable depth. We are now leasing waterfront and non-waterfront property. Terrebonne Port Commission, serving our industry to keep Terrebonne thriving.
We have big news here at Terrebonne Ford.
You can now get a $1,000 auto bonus cash when you order a new Ford.
This means you get to design the new Ford that you want. Color, trim, options, you design it the way you want it.
And your new Ford will get priority in the building process, so you get your new Ford sooner.
Plus 1,000 order bonus cash. Order online at terrebonneford.com or come see us at Terrebonne Ford in Houma.
A new company with a lot of history, GIS Engineering has rapidly grown its brand around an experienced team of professionals. GIS Engineering is a full-service planning, engineering, procurement, and construction management company specializing in coastal protection and restoration, upstream and downstream industrial, and transportation infrastructure projects. Putting people first, GIS Engineering, a new company with a lot of history.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Going Public. David Ravelet is here, of course, the port director of the Terrebonne Port Commission. So, Dave, thanks for being here. We were talking about Cat Island Pass and the dredging, the $12.3 million that they've got there, new contracts that could be simultaneously working. So, could work in our favor there.
Yeah, so just to recap, so the balance of the $12.3 million, the first part of it will be for the bay, and the balance of whatever's left over will be used to clean out Cat Island Pass. There's a bid on the streets for that dredging, and if Weeks gets that that one, they already have the bay. They get that one, it makes it, they can roll right into it. If not, another contractor will get it, and we'll just have to see how that pans out.
Right.
But we could see some, because of the combined contract, we could see some reduced mobilization costs, especially if Weeks Marine bids on it and gets it, because their mobilization is going to be lower just because they're out there. So and the Corps expects the funding on hand will fully cover the bay and bar, which is the $12 million, not Cat Island Pass, but I think we'll have some left over to do that. And then for fiscal year 22, which is we just started in October. We scheduled to receive another $12.5 million. This would be used for HNC inland dredging and for more bay dredging after next year's hurricane season.
Yeah, it's real interesting. And times a year, does that make any difference at all? Obviously, the water levels are higher or lower. Does that make any difference to these contractors when they're doing a dredging? What time of year it is?
Yeah, it does, because during the wintertime, you tend to have more volatile weather. Those fronts come in, and in the summertime pattern, go 2 or 3 weeks, you might not have any change in weather other than thunderstorms. Okay, so and at different times it is a little different. water level does make a little difference, but I think the weather makes a bigger difference than the water level. The wind, you know,
Right.
that's what gets them.
Yeah, when you're pushing water out, and as we talked about with Ida, you know, when you get a north wind as opposed to a continuous south wind, I was just wondering if that made any difference. So let's talk about something we always talk about. Rocks adjacent to Timberlake Island, and you know, a lot of folks probably don't understand why we want to have rocks all the way out on this channel, but it's because of the way the currents work, right?
Yeah. We have a predominant east-west current, and the Barrier Islands, Timberlake Island, they all migrate to the west, and they're actually falling in the channel. So that's a big part of what we have to dredge every year. Putting rocks on the east side, especially adjacent to Timberlake, would hopefully keep the island from moving and keep it intact. You know, and it would, I think there's other extra added benefits just from thinking about it. You know, the fact that it stays in one place, it'll be cheaper to maintain it. The rocks would create a shoal on the inside of them, on the east side lobe of the bay. It could totally close that side of the bay. It'd make a good fishing area.
Sure.
You know, and it would make our industry a lot more confident. Okay, boats would come in, they wouldn't have to check every time and say, well, you know, we can't get in this time. I mean, the depth would be maintained, and that would be the huge win for us.
Yeah, you know, we've seen it. If you've ever been on a cruise out of Miami, there's rocks going all the way down. There's certain areas like that have these rocks and these jetties, and strictly for that point, so they don't have to do it over and over.
Right.
And over.
So if you have a channel in a bay the bay's 12 feet deep, you have a channel. So we dig a little 3-foot trench. Now we got a 15-foot channel going through the bay. Okay, well, that little channel without rocks to protect it, it just continues to self-level. It continues to go back to 12 feet. And then it takes all of that sediment that's coming from the east and it dumps it in the channel as well. So that's why it self-levels, and it's just bad. That's why you have jetties. Any channel coming out of the continental United States into the Gulf of Mexico is what they call guide jetties, to help guide the channel out into the deeper water, because until you get, you know, you want to dredge it, but if it's not naturally the depth that you dredge it, and you don't have rocks, it's going to silt in, it's going to fill in. Right. So
a one-time cost may save money in the long
run,
for sure.
And so the Corps actually curved the channel to the west 5 or 6 times over the past 10, 15 years to get to deeper water, because the deeper water is on the west side, and it allows them to do less dredging, because we're always looking at budgets. But we curved it so much, I don't think we can curve it anymore, you know? So we have to start thinking about...
We're going to be going back up north.
Yes, right, you know? So we have to have a more reliable depth for our industry, you know? So if people don't understand what I just talked about, go to my website, terreboneport.com. There's a video on my home page, and 5 minutes it explains it. We've showed it on this show, and we might show it again another time, but I don't have it today. But it's a good video that gives you a good visual of what's going on. Right. So you know.
Hey, something interesting. You're on a panel now. The governor has asked you to a panel on energy, wind energy, and could that be something that we see in the Gulf? These big turbines out there that we see on the East Coast, and then, like, I've been to Denmark, they're all over the place, you know. So is that something we may see down here? So
Governor Edwards launched a task force to look into to study the pros and cons of wind energy in the Gulf of Mexico. I wasn't involved in the study per se to tell you how much wind we're going to have, and all. I'm looking at it from more of a port director, and you know, my focus is economics, jobs, and and so I have to look at it from that angle. You know, so my opinion on wind energy is multifaceted. First, you need to put everything in a proper perspective. The energy consumed by the world in cars and automobiles and heating their houses is made from hydrocarbons extracted from the earth. They're also used as hydrocarbons is also used as stock material in chemical plants to make everyday items like plastics, fabrics, and solar panels. Okay, so the energy has to be separated in those two components, the one that powers your cars and heats, and the one that's used for the chemical plants. So when we talk about wind energy or any kind of green energy, we're only supplementing the part that we use for cars and automobiles, and not all the stuff that's used for the chemical plants, because
every plastic.
You can't. I mean, that's what they use. That's what they make it out of. And
cell phones.
Exactly, everything. So that's the first thing you have to kind of situate in your mind. Okay. And so the intent of the wind energy, is to supplement the energy consumed by the world, but will have no effect on hydrocarbon demand from chemical plants. Okay, the technology is still in its infant stage. Windmills they're building today are extremely large. I don't know if you've saw some of those things, but they're huge. Okay, and as port director, like I just said, my focus centers around the economy and jobs. Terrebonne has pioneered marine fabrication and repair for many markets around the world. Generations of fabrication in this region has developed a skill set recognized as the best in the world, and we are. Okay. There are many marine vessels, new construction and repair companies in Terrebonne. These fabrication companies have been the major employers of this region for generations, with trained workforces of expert fabricators, expert boat captains, ABS crewmen, expert offshore construction superintendents. The fabrication expertise in Terrebonne is second to none. To build, install, and operate a wind energy farm in the Gulf of Mexico, it will take fabricators and marine vessels with capable crew members. Simple. Simple.
Yeah.
Simple. So we have platforms that already exist out there. We have the technology to build them and to set them
all down here.
And you know, our fabricators are best in the world. So we're strategically positioned to do this wind energy if that's what they decide to do. But keep in mind that it's not going to do away with the oil and gas industry. I mean, it's never going to happen. I don't think it'll happen in our lifetimes. Okay, so the percentage of the electricity that these wind energy farms contribute is such a small percentage compared to the whole. Now, the focus is going to be on how can we technology advance these apparatuses to make them smaller and more efficient, make a lot of electricity, so that eventually you can eat up a lot of that.